say tricky market, but we have been in that kind of scenario where, the market has been bleeding off a little bit the last few days, and part of that is just due to the extension that we had here. But the other part that's, something to be aware of is that, the market has been really kind of like a one-trick pony of late in that, even though we got this extended, like you're not really seeing that many breakouts, running around. So like if you're really looking, and kind of seeing like what's going on underneath the hood of the market, we don't have really that much action per se in like breakouts versus breakdowns. So like even if you're running like, your gap scanners or whatever it is, or just like regular stocks, like you'd see here, like, last handful of days, it's 119, 4% breakouts. Then you got 94 the previous day. You got a 250. And then also the breakdowns are rising. So, even though the indexes have been held up okay, we have like a little bit of declining strength in the markets. And that's what's kind of causing, probably, if you're just like trading on the long side, a little bit of that choppy action. Now, the good thing is on the short side, the action has been great the last 2 days. It's been quick and easy, and you've had a lot of good range on the downside, at least in the mornings, and then the afternoons have been dick, which is, pretty much the case 8 months out of the year for the last God knows how many years. So that's something to just be mindful of, but that's going to be also, something that we have to keep in cards. We got a flat open on the market today. So really anything is possible today. Let's take a look here. I think that the easy money on the shorts has been made. The last 2 days we've been shorting everything. I think at least that easy flush has been done. So now it could really go either way today. Sometimes though you'll have a clear market direction where you're like, okay, we're really extended, like it's time to short things. Now, like we're going to be in a little bit of a different spot. So, you got a whole host of, let's take a look at the kind of PR plays, and then let's dicker and deal into what else is coming around. All right. Hey, this ISIG has been popping this morning. This fucking stock is like the knife city. Now, in the last, so many years of trading, the last couple days, it can be a little bit like Thanksgiving week where you start to see, some randoms really start moving around. So that is a direct possibility. So we'll keep an eye on this, but this is, I doubt I would trade this because most likely it's already just using up a lot of its range. But you know what? If it starts to dip off or something, it does give one candle of glory here or there. But if you really look at the price action on this thing the last few days, it's been moving really clean in the pre-market. And then once the market opens, like it hasn't been really working that clean. So you've got to be, super mindful of it. The other thing is like, if you really look at like any of these like kind of low floaters, high flyers, anything like that, it's been knife city like nonstop. What I mean by knife city is like you see a pattern and then it just goes whoop, right? And you fucking knife down and they're all doing it. Like it's knife city everywhere on every single one. Hey, you want to get caught in a knife? Go for it, right? Like there's some fun in that. There's a little bit of some S&M bondage kind of stuff in those knives, but you don't have to necessarily trade this stuff. This thing is also like, it's always been knife city. So like, you want to trade this rally, sure. Like, but it's knife city. Like you see like things like this, like it breaks or the VWAP. And then these are like big fucking monster cock candles, So if you're like handling any size, then it's really tough to trade these kind of things because, it's knife city. So you want to dive into this on the last day of the year, go for it. There's nothing like waking up on January 1st and a new year and being like, my last year, I sucked. I got fucking knifed on rally the last day of the year, blew all my gains. And here I'm starting the new year like a big fat loser I am. And that's what's probably going to happen to some of you guys. But, in a way, that's also kind of cool, right? It means you don't give a fuck. So go for it. But I do think these things are a little bit tricky. There's a time and place for these things. The price action on them on an intraday basis is showing something very different than what's happening on the daily charts. they're just getting knifed all over the place. And it requires a different level of, man, it just requires a different level of expertise than, what most people will have, unless you can be like one of the ones that's in first and get the things going and then be the one that reigns the shares and knifes them. That sounds like a good, solid Christian time. But otherwise, if you're not in first, then you're in last on these things. And that's not a good thing to be. The naked, this thing trades like shit too. Now, look, this naked had, a reverse split or whatever. The float on this is probably just a few million shares. So like you often see these type of things kind of get pushed around, but you can see like if there's like a turd in this, if there's ever like a turd in the stock market, then this naked is that turd. Like, right, this thing is like post, adjusted split is 17,000. So essentially this thing just goes into zero and then, they pump it a little bit and then they push it back down. But this is, this company is a zero for the most part. Now, let's see here. RRD, RR Donnelly. So this is like an advertising company, but this is just a buyout. These are buyout rumors on this. Vale, BHP, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even see what's going on this bad boy. This is probably more of like a swing trade stock. What I mean by that, this is like, I believe this is Brazilian. This is like a Brazilian iron ore company. These type of things, like when commodities are going, they move just fine. But it's not if you look here at the candles, right? Like this is not something that's like a good intraday trader. It just doesn't have the ATR. So if you look at the ATR, it's average true range, it's 40 cents. So it's like something like, okay, you can tuck it in like your IRA or something. It's like a good pattern, but it's not really anything that's worth a damn here. Let's take a look. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, this ISPC is a piece of shit too. EWZ. See, this is PBR, not the beer, but actually, this is another thing. So there's something probably going on in Brazil that's, giving this kind of stuff a little bit of juice here. But these are more like longer term swing trades. These are going to be slow grinders. Tomorrow is a full day, but it'll be dead after the first hour. Even today, I think probably you're going to have a couple hours of juice and then we're going to go. Let's take a look on the downside. It looks like somebody said Tesla had a recall. This BIAB also had some news out. So look, this thing popped up because somebody was talking about acquisition and then they unacquisitioned it. Fucking heck, right? So that's not going to be good. Oatly. Look, this thing's still a $5 billion company. This thing probably, so what do? They make fucking oatmeal? Like you just run around eating $5 billion worth of oatmeal? This thing probably is zero. Astrolube, yeah, pass. Right. So you can see like some of these things are getting hit on some news, but they're already too cheap. Like BFRIE. Tesla got some news on a recall. So Tesla 2 recall over 475,000 over safety issues. This will probably be in play today. 475,000 shares, that's like a decent amount for the most part. This will be a little bit tricky though, because like you can see, you've got a little bit of pre-market weakness here, but you got all this support underneath. So you're going to have to trade around this kind of these levels here. But like, this is probably something that's going to have some juice on it. Now, like, would you want to short this thing blindly? No. Tesla is like, first of all, it's a very tricky stock to trade. And it's like the master of squeezing shorts, right? So like, you want to be a little bit careful with this. But I would actually add this to the list. I would add this to the list here. Oh, by the way, add this VSCO. This had some earnings out yesterday. And even with the market kind of being like a little bit shady, right? A little bit shady, like this had actually some good range. If the liquidity keeps up on this, this is probably something that's got a little bit of upside on it. These type of stocks like that are IPOs and then they kind of bust loose on earnings. They tend to have some good days in it afterwards. I think that this is something that you can keep trading as long as there's liquidity. this stock is like notorious for the liquidity dying. Like yesterday it did 7 million shares. If it doesn't fire off though, like 500, 600,000 shares at the open, probably it's going to lay like a log like all day. Then you don't need to be in it. Tesla, we got some news. So let's add that to the list. Hey, these semiconductors, so like MU is busted, it's showing a little bit of weakness today. But if you look here, like this NVIDIA has also got a little bit of weakness today. I think these semiconductors are not done pulling back. There's like, even when the market's been showing some strength, they've already been selling off a little bit. The price action on this thing have been really nasty. So I would keep all these semis on your watch list. Like if the market starts to roll today again, then these are probably the first places that we want to short. We were knee deep in this thing. We were all over this thing in the morning yesterday. This one in NVIDIA, we've been trading every day for the last few days. I think these things still got some more downside in them. The one thing to be just super mindful of is that the market itself has been fading off strength the last couple of days. So if you look here, like on the 28th, right, you had like a gap up in the market and then you were fading off the whole day. But beyond this, like the indexes didn't move down that much, but like the individual stocks are really, really getting dusted. So you're seeing like the price action is telling you something beyond what the indexes are showing you. And then yesterday, the market opened up not strong, but it looked like it was going to make a little bit of a push, and then everything got yanked really, really fast. And if you look, like you had all these kind of green to red moves, like right off at the bat, like you see these like wicks here, you just pop up and then the rugs were pulled. So that's telling you, right, there's some selling going on underneath the hood of the market that, even if the indexes are holding up, like these bad boys are all selling off. So I would keep all of these on the watch list. Now, ideally, if you're a bear, you would rather see a big monster cock run the next 2 days and then they rug pull it in January. I think January, by the way, guys, is going to be a very difficult month. Just gut feeling here based on seasonality, like what type of price action we're seeing. Also, I mean, beyond the interest rates, inflation, tapering, so on and so forth. I think January is going to be a little bit tricky. December was a fairly smooth month to trade for the most part, minus a handful of days where, we're getting our balls chopped off. But, I think January is going to be sharpen your swords for January. Now, the good thing is like earnings season starts on the 19th. So we'll have like a lot of stuff to trade, whether it's good or bad. But let's add all these kind of stock. I think we still got a downside. Or actually, Roblox has like a very key level now. If you look here, if we bust below this, 96-ish, 96, 95 level, we've got a gap to fill down here back into the 78. This thing's been getting dusted on different pieces of news for a little bit. And this is like the prime time. These type of stocks are like the prime time candidates to like when the market starts to show weakness. These are the prime time type of candidates to like really, really roll over. If you think about like Roblox is like, okay, what do they fucking do, right? They make a couple video games, some shitty video games, right? It's like a $60 billion company. So even though the prices come down a lot, like it's still probably a bloated pig. And these things can like really kind of really dip down, especially when you get into those huge stratospheres of market cap. It's like the fucking DraftKings. This thing is still a $22 billion company. Like, so even though it's been going down like every damn day, it doesn't mean it can't stop going down. I think Roblox is probably of that same nature, considering like none of these companies really make any money anyways. So like these things. And by the way, though, I would keep an eye on this one. There's a strategy that really worked well like 10 years ago. We stopped doing it for tax law. They're called tax loss selling plays, in that like you spot down like the stocks that are like have been being sold off in the most orderly manners in November and December. And what will typically happen is like if they start to bleed out in those last days of December, especially, then in January, they end up getting a good pop because a lot of that bleed out is from tax loss selling due to the fact that it's just been getting just mangled for so many months. And you'll see that with a lot of these type of names. So like this is probably something you keep an eye on in January. It's still a bloated pig, but who knows? Like if this thing still keeps dying off and you get this thing down into $20 or something, it might be something worth stashing away in an IRA, 401k, something along that end. Let me check on this AA, brother. Hey, this is a clean setup. And you know what? If you looked at some of these other metals companies, like Vale is a metal company, PBR is in that same realm of things. You probably can bust loose this thing. It's not the fastest of movers, but it does move enough. Like it's got a $2.5 ATR. You just have to probably put a little bit of wood on the thing with a little extra size, but it trades liquid enough where you can do it. I just set an alert on this, probably like around $60. And, if it starts to kind of push its way through there, then they'll turn the algos on these kind of stocks because it's a well-known company. They'll turn the algos on this thing and you might catch like a good $1.50 kind of MPC on it. So I would actually roll with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that one. Let me look at Nikola. Yeah, so Nikola is known for doing this, right? Where they had like just one day's worth of glory and then they fade off. So yeah, is it due for a bounce? Sure. But if you really look at like Nikola's price action over the, course of its history, it does one day of glory all the time and then rolls the back off. So those kind of like 1 days of glory most likely are just like liquidity events where like somebody, right, really smart has got to be selling off their worthless shares of the company. And next thing you know, they really die down. This is going to be a little bit tricky today because there's not that many good PR plays. And, so many stocks are getting busted. I think we still keep this Pfizer is really getting close here. You got a marination station the last few days right over that 20 SMA. If it starts to go, I think it'll probably pop $2-3, really relatively quickly. It is a thick little bastard. So when it does it'll be more like a trender grinder, like kind of how, AMD or MU would trade, where you don't get necessarily those big MPCs, but like it'll just kind of throughout the day. But whatever, like you just have to put a little bit extra mustard on it. And then, you kind of see what's going on here. But this is going to be really, really tricky. Look, if the market wants to bounce, all these stocks have kind of pulled back into support anyways, like, TTD, AMD, so on and so forth. Even UPSTs had like a really, good, easy pullback the last few days. But it's all going to be market dependent, all going to be market dependent. If we need a day two play, also add MU to the list. MU had a lot of relative strength yesterday. This was a stock, even though the semiconductors were getting nailed at the open and the market was getting nailed. If you look here, like this thing was just cruising along doing its own thing because it had earnings out a few days ago. So it's kind of moving irregardless of what's happening in the general market anyway. So I would keep that right up on the list and then let's see what's going on with this thing. Otherwise, just keep it easy. I mean, you're not going to have that many stocks on your watch list this time of year due to the fact that it's just kind of dead out there. You're going to get started for the new year. Trade the easy liquid names, and you're going to have to play whichever way the market goes. Some markets, it doesn't matter if the market is up or down. If there's a lot of heat, then in its earnings season, you'll find a million stocks running around. In this kind of these dead zones between holidays and also you got the new year coming, you're going to have like just the index is shaking around and everything will just move with it. So in general, like these are like your slow times, but just have some fun with it. Like it's easier trading. You just pick a few names and go out for the shreds and we'll see what happens here. So let's have a little bit of fun and let's see what's going on. Watch yourself on that ISID. It's this fucking nice city. You gotta be fast and nimble to trade those kind of things. And some people can do it, some people can't. Let's go have some fun today. We'll be in the boom boom room. Also, cryptos are bouncing. I keep an eye on Luna. I think Luna, Matic are the two nice ones. I'm not feeling that good about the cryptos right now because the BTC is like in a big range between 46 and 52. And really till that box breaks, it's not going to do much. But just be mindful of those things too. Let's go have some fun today. Let's do what we do, which is the do. Boom, 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 boom.